Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how I made this coat tree using 3 2x4s. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the rounding off the 2x4. As you probably know, the edges of the 2x4 are rounded. This is optional, but I think it's a nicer look if the edges of the wood are square rather than round. So I'm going to use this piece of wood as a guide for my circular saw. If you have a table saw, it's probably a lot easier to use that, but I don't have one, so I'm just going to lay this piece of wood and make a guide. And then I'm going to just cut off about 1/8 of an inch, or between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch of the side of the 2x4, which is the rounding. Here's just showing you how much I cut off. It's pretty thin. And this is what the stock looks like now. It's just squared off edges. So the next step is to make the feet for the coat tree. And I need 4 12-inch pieces. Next, I'm going to add a 45-degree angle to the end of the feet, starting at about the 9.5 inch mark. This is optional, but I think it adds a bit more style. To make these cuts, I'm going to use my homemade circular saw guide. All you do is line up the edge of the guide where you want to make the cut, and then slide the saw along the guide. As you can see here, it just makes a nice straight cut wherever you line up the guide. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make a quick video showing you how to make your own guide. So I'll just repeat the process for all 4 feet. Next, I'll sand them smooth. Here I want to just compare the original 2x4 stock to the squared off, sanded smooth feet that we now have. As you can see, there's quite a difference, and I think the feet look really good. So this is the configuration that I have in mind for the feet, and the gap in the middle is for the post. So for the post, I'm going to be using 2 2x4s, and I've cut the rounding off the edges. I'm going to use wood glue, and then clamp them together to make one solid beam. Before I started this project, I thought I'd use a 4x4 cedar beam for the post, but it was a bit expensive when I went to buy it, so I thought this would be a much more economical option. I don't know if this is totally necessary, but I added a screw to the bottom and top of the post for added strength. I noticed that some areas where the boards touched was pretty uneven, so I used a hand plane to get them a lot closer to the same level. Next, I used the circular saw to add a bevel to the top of the post, just to give it a bit of style. And then I sanded that smooth. The next step for me was staining the wood, but before I did that, I applied a pre-stained wood conditioner. A soft wood like pine absorbs stain differently in different areas, which could result in a blotchy finish when it dries. A wood conditioner evens out those areas to make a more consistent finish. So I applied this to all the surfaces of each wood piece, and then afterwards just wiped off the excess. For the stain, I went with a red mahogany. And you want to apply the stain before the wood conditioner has a chance to dry. So I just used a foam brush and applied the stain liberally. After I had all the pieces coated, I just wiped off all the excess. You want to do this before it dries. Once the stain had dried, I just mounted the feet onto the post. I started by pre-drilling holes and then used 2 screws. One thing I did during this process is tried to keep the bottom of the feet square with the post. And here's the post with the feet attached. Next, I applied some Varathane diamond wood finish to the whole coat tree. I think I did about 3 coats, waiting for them to dry completely between each. And the last step was attaching the 4 hooks. I just pre-drilled the holes and then used the screws it came with. And that's it. This is the completed coat tree. Through the winter months, we've had this coat tree loaded up with coats and snow pants and hats and everything, and it's solid as a rock. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.